There's something you've been told your entire life, something repeated so often it feels like unquestionable truth. Manifestation begins in the mind. Change your thoughts, change your life. It's a seductive idea. It makes you feel in control. It gives you a clear target to aim for. But here's the hook, the part no one tells you, the part that keeps most people stuck for years. Your thoughts aren't creating your reality. Your body is, and until your nervous system feels safe enough to receive, all the mindset work in the world won't move the needle. If you've ever wondered why you can visualize for 30 days straight, repeat an affirmation 1,000 times, or keep your vibration high and still see nothing shift, this is the moment that explains everything, because manifestation was never driven by the mind. It was always driven by the frequency beneath the mind, the one your body broadcasts without your permission. Take a breath with me, slowly, gently, and without forcing anything, allow your awareness to drop from your head into your chest. Feel the subtle pulsing beneath your sternum. Feel the quiet hum in your ribs. Feel the breath as it rises and falls like a tide you didn't create and cannot control. This is where creation begins, not in the storyline of your thoughts, but in the electricity of your presence, in the sensations that speak long before language, in the tone of your nervous system that tells the universe whether you are open to receive or bracing for impact. You've been taught to chase the perfect thought, the perfect script, the perfect state of mind. But thoughts are surface waves. They're reflections of deeper currents. And if those currents are tense, contracted, or scanning for danger, no amount of positive thinking can override the signal your body is broadcasting. This is the paradox at the heart of manifestation, the part that feels like a cosmic joke until you finally understand it. Your body listens before your mind speaks, and the universe listens to your body. As you breathe here, notice what your body is actually doing. Not what you think it's doing, not what you hope it's doing, but what it's truly signaling. Is there a tightness beneath the ribs? A subtle clench in the jaw? A holding in the throat that you've lived with so long you stopped noticing it? That's the language your nervous system speaks, and that language shapes your reality more than any affirmation ever will. Let your breath deepen as you consider this. A nervous system that doesn't feel safe cannot open, it cannot receive, it cannot expand, it cannot participate in flow, because on a biological level it believes expansion is danger, abundance is danger, love is danger, visibility is danger. And so instead of moving toward what you desire, your body negotiates, contracts, retreats, analyzes, prepares, and protects. And the field, the quantum field, that mirrors your state, reads that contraction and sends back experiences that match it. Not because the universe is withholding anything, but because you're broadcasting the frequency of not yet, not safe, and not ready. Let yourself imagine, just for a moment, a different possibility. Imagine that beneath your thoughts, beneath your beliefs, beneath all the mental noise you've inherited and rehearsed, there is a quiet tuning fork inside your chest. It vibrates with every emotional truth you carry. It vibrates with memories you've forgotten and patterns you've absorbed. It vibrates with the echoes of everything your nervous system has learned about safety. And that tuning fork, your baseline frequency, is the real message the universe responds to. Not the words you're saying, not the vision board on your wall, not the sentences you whisper in the mirror hoping something will change. Only the frequency your body is holding. Feel your breath again. Feel the temperature of the air as it enters your nose, the soft expansion of your ribs, the subtle release on the exhale. These tiny sensations are not distractions from your spiritual work. They are the doorway into it. This is where the signal is shaped. This is where manifestation begins. inside the living instrument of your body. You don't have to force anything in this moment. You don't have to try to be calm or spiritual or aligned. All you need to do is let your awareness stay with these sensations, the ones you usually skip past on your way to fixing or achieving. Because in this quiet space, something begins to happen. The mind loosens, the breath widens, and the nervous system reveals its truth. It has been protecting you for so long that you forgot what openness feels like. Feel the subtle shift already happening inside you, the slowing, the softening, the descent from the mind into the body. And let this question echo gently in your awareness, opening the next thread of curiosity. If your thoughts aren't the creative force, what is the frequency your body has been sending all along? The answer is where everything begins to change. There's a moment, usually subtle, usually unnoticed, when your body makes a decision long before your mind can interpret it. A moment where the nervous system whispers, "Not safe, not yet." And everything inside you shifts. Your breath shortens. Your chest tightens. Your awareness contracts into a narrow, vigilant beam. You might not call it fear. You might not even register it as stress. It often shows up wearing the masks of productivity, planning, or discipline. But underneath all those disguises is the same ancient signal your ancestors relied on. Survive first, receive later. And this is where the frequency of manifestation collapses. Let your breath slow again. Feel the subtle ways your ribcage responds. Notice whether you're inhaling with trust or inhaling with preparation. This is the difference between a regulated system in flow and one trapped in survival. And here is the truth most people miss. You can be high functioning and still be in survival mode. You can be spiritual, self-aware, intentional, and still live from a body that believes something could go wrong at any moment. Survival isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a quiet hum under everything, a background static that you've learned to normalize, a sense that you must stay ahead, stay prepared, stay aware. Because if you let your guard down, even for a breath, you fear something might slip through the cracks. That hum is what keeps your nervous system from opening. That hum is what blocks the field from delivering what you've been asking for. Let's slow time for a moment and step inside that reality. Imagine a deer drinking from a river. Its breath is slow, muscles loose, ears relaxed. In that state, it is open to water, open to nourishment, open to the environment. But imagine a twig snapping behind it. Instantly, everything changes. Muscles tighten, pupils widen, breath freezes, digestion halts. It becomes alert, not available. Defensive, not receptive. The river is still there. The nourishment is still there. But the deer can no longer receive it. Not because it doesn't want to, but because safety is no longer present. Humans aren't different. We're simply more complicated in the ways we trigger danger. Your twig snap might be an unexpected bill, an unread message, a memory, a tone in someone's voice, a comparison on social media, or the quiet fear that if something finally does go right, it won't last. And your body reacts the same way every time. Tighten, guard, prepare. Feel into your body now. Notice if some part of you is still bracing, still expecting the next thing to manage, still scanning for the next problem to solve. That bracing is not psychological, it's physiological. It's not about logic, it's about pattern. And patterns, when repeated long enough, become your frequency. Here is the part that begins to shift everything. The nervous system doesn't wait for danger to appear. It anticipates danger based on memory. It predicts, it prepares, and preparation is the birthplace of contraction. If your body has learned that disappointment follows hope, it will contract at the first sign of hope. If your system has learned that abundance is unpredictable, It will tighten when money flows toward you, not because you don't want it, but because receiving feels unfamiliar. If your childhood taught your body that visibility is unsafe, you will unconsciously dim yourself, even when your mind is begging you to shine. The nervous system does not care about what you want. It cares about what feels familiar, what feels survivable. Take a slow breath in. Feel the truth of that land without judgment. And as it lands, let this question surface. How much of your life have you lived responding to outdated instructions? Because survival patterns don't only come from your experiences, they come from your lineage. Epigenetic scientists are discovering what mystics have known for centuries, that you inherit more than DNA. You inherit responses, imprints, somatic memories encoded into your biology by the lives that came before you. Your grandmother's scarcity, your father's fear of failure, the collective threat response of your lineage, these echoes live in your nervous system. Even if your mind has no memory of them, you may be bracing for dangers you've never encountered, protecting yourself from wounds that were never yours, manifesting from fears that began decades before you were born. This is why repeating affirmations feels hollow. This is why visualizing abundance sometimes feels exhausting. This is why you can do all the right things and still experience the same frustrations. Because your body isn't creating from your intentions, it's creating from your conditioning. Notice the subtle ache in your chest when I say that. Notice the grief or recognition or curiosity that rises. That sensation is the beginning of awareness, and awareness is the beginning of transformation. Now breathe deeper, slowly, gently. Make each inhale wider than the one before it. As you do, imagine your nervous system showing you all the small ways it keeps you safe. The tension in your shoulders when someone expects something from you, the tightening in your stomach when you check your bank account, the holding in your throat when you try to speak your truth, the impulse to shrink when something good happens because part of you is waiting for the catch. These are not flaws, these are survival codes, instructions your system believes are protecting you. But here is the turning point, the moment where survival begins to loosen its grip. You cannot manifest from the frequency of protect me. You manifest from the frequency of I am safe. And safety is not the absence of danger. Safety is the presence of regulation. Feel your breath again, slower, softer. Let your awareness rest in your chest as if you were laying a hand on a frightened animal. You don't have to fix anything. You don't have to force anything open. You simply need to witness the places in your body that have been bracing for years. When you do, something begins to shift. The body softens, the vigilance loosens, the hum of survival quiets, and a new signal begins forming beneath the surface, one that sounds like curiosity, like possibility, like the first crack of light breaking through a long-held pattern. And as this movement draws to a close, let this question echo through your awareness, opening the next threshold. If survival closes the channel, what opens it? Imagine stepping into a room filled with instruments, strings, drums, vibrations suspended in the air, and realizing that every single one of them is tuned to your internal state. Not your thoughts, not your intentions, but the tone of your body. This is how the quantum field responds to you. It isn't listening to words. It isn't influenced by the narratives you craft in your mind. It responds to coherence, the same way a symphony responds to a conductor. When your nervous system is chaotic, your reality mirrors dissonance. When your nervous system is regulated, your reality shifts into harmonic order. This isn't philosophy, it's physics, it's biology, it's the living language of your cells. Notice how, even without understanding all the science yet, some part of you can feel that this is true, that alignment has always felt different from effort, that clarity has always felt different from control. Your nervous system is not just reacting to your life, it is organizing it, creating the filters through which you interpret the world and the frequencies through which the world interprets you. Let's explore how this happens. Inside every cell in your body, tiny flashes of light, biophotons, are constantly being emitted. Researchers have discovered that these biophotons are not random. They carry information. They communicate stress. They communicate coherence. They communicate emotional states that your conscious mind hasn't even processed yet. When your system is regulated, these light emissions become ordered, rhythmic, patterned. When your system is in survival mode, they scatter, they dim, they become erratic. The universe doesn't hear you through language. It reads this field of light. Feel the awe of it. Your body is broadcasting signals into the fabric of reality with every heartbeat. Now, shift your attention toward the nervous system itself. It has two primary states: sympathetic, activation, and parasympathetic, regulation. Most people live their lives trapped halfway between these states, a kind of unresolved vigilance. The body is never fully in danger, but it's never fully safe either. This in-between creates static in your field, static that blocks intuition, static that clouds clarity, static that makes manifestation slow, inconsistent, or impossible. The sympathetic state was built for emergencies: fight, flee, guard, protect. It's powerful, intelligent, and necessary when the moment calls for it. But it was never meant to be a lifestyle. And yet for many people, it becomes the default because the mind tries to solve survival with more thinking, more planning, more effort, when what the body actually needs is permission to soften. Here's something profound. The vagus nerve, your primary channel for regulation, is like a tuning wire running from your brain down through your chest, your diaphragm, your gut. When it is toned and flexible, regulation becomes effortless. You recover from stress quickly, you return to clarity, you feel grounded, intuitive, open. But when it is rigid, from years of threat response, everything becomes harder: decisions, relationships, opportunities, creativity. Not because you're incapable, but because your biology is still prioritizing survival over expansion. This is why manifestation often feels blocked. It's not a lack of alignment. It's not a weakness in belief. It's a nervous system running a completely different agenda than your conscious mind. Now let's widen the lens. Regulation doesn't just change how you feel, it changes what you perceive. When your nervous system is calm, your brain opens its aperture. It sees opportunities it previously filtered out. It hears intuitive nudges it used to dismiss. It recognizes possibilities that were always present but hidden behind vigilance. Safety expands your perceptual field, and when your perception expands, so does your reality. This is the moment where science and spirituality dissolve into unity. Spiritual teachers call it alignment. Neuroscientists call it neural integration. Quantum physicists call it coherence. But they are all describing the same phenomenon: a body that feels safe enough to access intelligence beyond the thinking mind. A system that becomes permeable to inspiration, synchronicity, and intuitive guidance because it is no longer wasting energy scanning for danger. Coherence doesn't mean you never experience stress again. It means you can return to safety quickly. It means your system knows how to self-repair. It means you don't build your identity around threat. And this is where manifestation becomes immediate, not because your desires magically appear, but because your system stops resisting what has been available all along. Feel the shift inside you as you realize that manifestation is not a mental game, it's a physiological state. Your body is the doorway, your safety is the code. And now, as you rest in this understanding, let a new question rise. A question that opens the next layer, the deeper threshold. If coherence is the language the universe listens to, what practices teach your body to speak it? Picture your nervous system as a vast interior landscape, one you have walked through unconsciously for years. You know the high ridges of tension. You know the valleys where old emotions pool. You know the winding paths of anticipation, the familiar caverns where fear echoes, the tight corridors where hope barely fits. And somewhere inside that landscape lies a hidden doorway. Not metaphorical, not symbolic, an actual somatic threshold. When you step through it, your entire energetic broadcast changes. Manifestation stops being something you're trying to achieve and becomes something you naturally express. This doorway opens through 3 frequencies, 3 somatic states that, when practiced consistently, rewire the very way your body communicates with the quantum field. The first frequency is known as the frequency of opening. Most people think openness is emotional or psychological or even spiritual. But openness is fundamentally physiological. It requires the nervous system to stop bracing. It requires the muscles around the heart to soften. It requires the diaphragm to move freely. When the body opens, reality opens with it. Take a gentle inhale into the center of your chest, as if drawing breath directly into the heart space, not figuratively but physically. Feel the expansion behind the sternum. Feel the slight warmth spreading across your ribs. On the exhale, imagine the energy inside you moving outward, like you're opening windows in a house that's been sealed for years. This is not symbolism, this is somatic rewriting. A regulated exhale tells the vagus nerve, I am safe. And a body that feels safe stops collapsing inward. Opening is not dramatic, it's subtle. It's the breath that says, I don't need to prepare for impact right now. It's the shoulders lowering without effort. It's the mind softening its grip on the need to know what's coming next. This frequency teaches your system a truth it has long forgotten. Receptivity is not vulnerability, it is power. When you practice this frequency consistently, your field begins to broadcast a new message. I am available, and the universe hears availability long before it hears desire. Where the frequency of opening creates space, the frequency of release clears what has been occupying it. Release is misunderstood. People think it means purging emotion or letting go of memories. But release is much simpler and far more profound. Release is the body unlearning tension. It's gravity reclaiming what you've been holding. It's the nervous system realizing it no longer needs to guard the past. Inhale through your heart again, slow and intentional. On the exhale, imagine the weight inside you melting downward, not outward, not upward, but down through your torso, your legs, your feet, dissolving into the earth below. You don't have to name what you're releasing. You don't have to understand it. You don't need a story for it. The body releases through sensation, not narrative. Sometimes release feels like heaviness, sometimes like a subtle tingling, sometimes like warmth, sometimes like nothing at all, until hours later you realize something inside you has unclenched. Release doesn't ask for effort, it asks for permission. Your body is always trying to complete cycles it wasn't allowed to finish. The exhale gives those cycles an exit. Understand this, you don't manifest with a heart full of tension. You manifest with a system that isn't carrying yesterday into today. When the weight leaves, space returns, and space is where new reality forms. The final frequency is the most transformative and the one most people skip. It's the frequency of embodied safety. Safety is not a concept, safety is a biological event. It's the moment your nervous system updates its internal prediction and realizes, right now, I am okay. And that single recognition changes everything. Take a slow breath into your chest. On the exhale, whisper internally or aloud, "Right here, right now, I am safe." Feel how the words land, not in your mind, but in your tissue, in your breath, in your pulse. Safety is what allows your system to shift from protection to creation. When your body believes it is safe, it stops scanning for danger. It stops rehearsing worst-case scenarios. It stops clinging to old versions of you. Safety tells your system, you can open now, you can receive now, you can expand now. This is the frequency that changes the field immediately. A safe body emits coherence without trying. A safe body becomes intuitive without forcing. A safe body stops chasing manifestations because it finally feels worthy of holding them. Safety is also what allows your desires to stop overwhelming your system. If receiving love, abundance, visibility, or support feels threatening, even slightly, your nervous system will reject them no matter how much your conscious mind wants them. But once safety becomes your baseline, the system updates its rules. Good things no longer feel dangerous. Receiving no longer feels shocking. This is the moment where manifestation becomes instant, not as magic, but as physiology. So how do these frequencies work together? Opening without release creates overwhelm. Release without safety creates emptiness. Safety without opening keeps you comfortable but stagnant. But when all three frequencies weave together, the body begins broadcasting coherence. And coherence is what the universe responds to instantly. Your desires aren't waiting for your mind to get clearer. They're waiting for your body to feel safe. They're waiting for your nervous system to stop anticipating threat. They're waiting for the moment your frequency says, "I can hold what I'm calling in." Take one more breath, slow, deep, intentional. Feel the opening, feel the release, feel the safety. These three frequencies are the beginning of a new internal language, a language the field understands immediately. And now that you know the mechanism, a new question rises in front of you, quiet and electric. What happens when your entire identity shifts from someone who tries to manifest to someone whose very presence generates it? When your nervous system finally understands that it no longer has to brace for life, something changes. It's not dramatic. It's not a spiritual fireworks display. It's subtle, almost unremarkable, like the soft click of a lock opening somewhere deep inside the chest. You don't notice it instantly. You feel it in the way your breath moves differently, in the way your shoulders settle without effort, in the way your mind stops gripping every passing thought as if it were a threat. It feels like spaciousness, like something inside you finally unclenching after years of carrying what you never needed to hold. This is the moment your body stops acting as a barrier and begins acting as a beacon. The moment you shift from transmitting survival to broadcasting coherence. As that coherence builds, your relationship with reality begins to change. You start noticing that life no longer feels like something you have to manage. You experience pockets of ease that feel almost suspicious at first, like a quiet that's so unfamiliar your mind doesn't quite know what to do with it. But if you breathe into that quiet, if you allow it instead of trying to fill it, something remarkable begins to take shape. You feel present in a way you didn't know was possible. You feel connected without effort. You feel capable without strain. This is your system stepping out of contraction and into its natural frequency, one it has been longing to return to. And this is when manifestation stops feeling like a strategy and becomes a state of being. Because the truth is, manifestation was never meant to be a mental exercise. It was never meant to be a checklist of techniques or a series of affirmations you rehearse until your jaw hurts, or a visualization you force into existence. Manifestation was always meant to be an energetic consequence of coherence. When your internal world no longer contradicts your external desires, the the field reorganizes instantly, not slowly, not eventually, instantly. The delay most people experience isn't because the universe is withholding anything. It's because their nervous system is sending conflicting signals, one wanting expansion, the other fearing it. As coherence settles into your body like a new baseline, you'll notice that you show up differently in the world. You speak from a deeper center. You listen with your whole body. You take action without the frantic need for guarantees. Opportunities seem to find you without force. Conversations shift into deeper harmony. People feel safer around you because your calm becomes a regulating force in any room you enter. Your energy no longer contracts in the presence of uncertainty. It widens, it becomes receptive, it becomes magnetic. And this magnetism is not mystical in the way you were once taught. It is biological. When your system is regulated, you exude a subtle signal that communicates trust, openness, presence. Humans feel it. Opportunities feel it. The quantum field feels it. Everything responds to the unspoken coherence of a body that is no longer negotiating with fear. You start making choices not from desperation, but from alignment, not from scarcity, but from clarity, not from overthinking, but from the quiet intelligence that rises when your system is no longer in defense. You may also begin to notice something unexpected. Misaligned parts of your life start falling away, not dramatically, not painfully. They simply loosen like old threads unraveling from a fabric you've outgrown. People who once felt familiar may feel distant. Habits that used to comfort you may suddenly feel heavy. Commitments you made from a survival state become hard to maintain. This isn't regression, it isn't self-sabotage. It's your system recalibrating to its new frequency. When your body feels safe, your tolerance for what drains you dissolves. Your intuition speaks louder. Your boundaries sharpen without force. Your truth rises into the center of your life. And in this rising, something else becomes clear. What you thought of as manifesting was actually you trying to negotiate with your reality from a dysregulated state. Now, instead of negotiating, you are communicating. Instead of pushing, you are transmitting. Instead of asking the universe to prove something, you embody the frequency that draws it in. When you walk into a new situation, your body doesn't whisper, "Protect me." It whispers, "I'm available." And that simple shift changes everything. Consider the possibility that the version of you who was always seeking healing, seeking clarity, seeking abundance, seeking answers, was doing so because they didn't yet feel safe to receive what was already present. But as regulation deepens, something beautiful becomes undeniable. You no longer seek from lack. You seek from overflow. You seek from curiosity. You seek from expansion. This is when your intuition becomes unmistakably clear. Not as a whisper, but as a living current moving through your awareness, guiding you from coherence rather than fear. Feel into your chest for a moment. Notice the subtle aliveness there. Notice the sense of being here, not performing, not protecting, not anticipating, just present. This presence is the fertile ground of creation. It is the state where synchronicity multiplies, where ideas arrive fully formed, where support appears at the exact moment you need it. Because the field now has something to lock onto, a stable signal, a body that is not resisting, a heart that is not bracing, a frequency that is open rather than guarded. As this movement draws to its final breath, let your awareness rest gently on this truth. Manifestation is the natural consequence of a regulated body, not an achievement, not a reward, a consequence. And with that understanding settling softly into your cells, let this question rise and carry you forward. If your body can already broadcast coherence, What becomes possible when it learns to anchor it every single day? The air around you feels different now, as if something inside you has shifted into a new alignment. Not an idea, not a thought, but a sensation, quiet, spacious, unmistakable. The journey you've taken through the body, through the nervous system, through the frequencies that shape your reality has brought you here, to this soft and luminous threshold where creation stops being something you chase and becomes something you remember. Let your breath widen gently. Feel the way your inhale rises without being forced, the way your exhale unravels whatever tension is still lingering at the edges. This is where the field meets you, not in the striving, not in the trying, not in the endless effort to become anything at all, but in this simple, grounded presence. Life has always responded to the state beneath your thoughts, the tone beneath your intentions, the frequency written in the language of your cells. And as your nervous system settles into safety, the signal you broadcast becomes unmistakably clear. Notice how your awareness sits lower in the body now, as if your consciousness has dropped from the mind into the chest, from the chest into the belly, from the belly into the center of you. This descent is not accidental, it is the sign of a system returning home to itself. When your body feels safe, something extraordinary begins to happen. The world no longer feels like a landscape to navigate with caution. It becomes permeable, responsive, intimate. You start to feel reality instead of analyzing it. You start to sense guidance instead of searching for it. You start to receive without gripping. Let your breath deepen again. Feel the intelligence of your body expanding into the space around you. The heart field opening like a slow bloom. The energy that once spiraled outward in anxiety now settling into a steady, coherent rhythm. This coherence is not something you force. It emerges naturally when your system no longer believes it must prepare for danger. And in that emergence, the universe quiets its resistance too. It meets you differently. It arranges itself differently. Your inner world and outer world begin reflecting each other with clarity instead of distortion. Feel the truth of this inside your chest. You do not have to deserve what you desire. You only have to be available for it. Availability is the essence of manifestation, and availability is born from safety. When your system feels safe, you stop gripping at outcomes. You stop negotiating with the future. You stop shrinking at the first sign of expansion. Instead, you open softly, steadily, naturally. You open in the way flowers open to light, without ambition or strategy, but with an ancient knowing carried in their design. This opening changes everything. It shifts how you speak, how you move, how you choose, how you listen. It shifts the kind of people you attract, the opportunities that gravitate toward you, the pathways that reveal themselves without effort. Regulation doesn't just soften your internal world, it reorganizes your external world to match the new signal you're sending. And you begin to understand, perhaps for the first time, that manifestation is not an act of force. It is an act of resonance. Let the breath move through you now as if it were light traveling through clear water. Feel your presence stabilizing. Feel your frequency smoothing itself into coherence. Feel the physiology of safety rewriting the patterns that once held you hostage to old versions of yourself. This is what it means to become the signal, not the person trying to manifest, not the person hoping or wishing or waiting, but the person whose very state of being sends a message to the field that says, I am ready, I am open, I am safe to receive. Allow yourself to sense the spaciousness of that truth for a moment. Sense how the body responds, the subtle softening in the jaw, the warmth in the chest, the loosening in the abdomen. These are not small changes, they are the physical evidence of coherence forming in real time. They are the signs that your system is learning a new baseline, one where survival is no longer the lens through which you interpret existence, one where safety is not a rare state but the ground you stand on. And now let a final awareness wash through you, gently, quietly, like a tide touching the shore. Everything you've asked for, everything you've been calling in, everything you've been reaching toward, has always been held in the field around you. It has not been withheld. It has been waiting for the moment your body could recognize it, waiting for the moment your system could say yes without bracing, waiting for the moment you became coherent enough to receive what was already aligned with you. Take one last slow breath, and with your exhale, feel the boundary between you and the field dissolve. Feel the truth settling deep into the center of your being. You are safe to receive. You are coherent. You are the signal. And as this journey integrates into the fabric of your awareness, let this closing line settle over your entire system like a soft exhale. Welcome home to the frequency that was always yours.